guys, it's me, Spaghetti Kid. I'm just going to be showing you the FrieQ USB cable, which is a micro USB cable, which is the typical cable you'd be using with charging phones and things like that. So I've got the cable which came with my Nexus 5, which is adequate. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not quite long enough for what I would like. So I've got that one here, and this is adequate, but it was quite short. It's probably about 1 meter long. It really wasn't as long as I wanted, and because of that I kind of thought I'd look into buying a bigger cable just so it can reach a little bit further, and also it might be a little bit better quality. Now, the other thing I purchased recently was this Anker charger, which is basically a big battery that you can use to plug things into. It has 3 USB ports and its own charging port, and if you shake it, it tells you how much charge is in it. Now that will charge my Nexus 5 about 3 or 3.5, 4 times maybe. And with that, it came with a USB kit. And it wasn't very cheap, it wasn't very good, sorry, it was quite cheap and frail. And it did something that probably a lot of people are familiar with, which is this kind of horrible thing where it breaks at the ends of the cables. And it's just not very good. The rubber grommeting, which is this kind of bit, broke off just because it was constantly being bent and put in bags and stuff, so it really wasn't up to scratch. And because of that, I thought it would be wise to kind of buy something that might be quite useful and just really reliable and nice looking as well. So I bought this cable, which cost me, I believe, £6-ish, UK money, I'm not sure in dollars, and this cable is really good. So far I've had it a few weeks, well, 3 or 4 weeks I think, and it's lasted perfectly. Obviously it's not very long use, but it's just really good for a couple of reasons. One, typical cables like these ones, they're just flimsy and they are really floppy, they bend loads, which is good in some ways, but I find that's really annoying because you end up with big tangled cables, especially when it's long and if you're curling it up. The advantage of this braided cable is, as you can see, it's kind of curls up quite neatly, and I'll take it out of its case. But it's kind of more firm. It's not at all like hard or anything like that, but it really doesn't kind of flop around. It kind of stays in its shape, so I'll just unravel it. I've just kind of wound it up around itself. You can see it kind of stays in its shape. It obviously curls up quite a bit because I've just had it curled up, but it's much better. Now the length of this cable I believe is 1.8 meters, which is a lot bigger than the other cables. The cable that came with my Anker charger I think is about 50 centimeters. If I compare that to this, it's got 1 length, 2 length, and then about another half. So there really is it's a much bigger cable. Now that's kind of inconvenient if you don't really want a big cable. However, obviously if you want a cable that's big to reach across rooms or anything like that, this will be a little bit bigger. Now the main reason I bought this is because it's braided, so you can see it has this really nice material. I've taken a few interesting clips which I'll probably show you as well. But it has this really nice braiding material all down it, and it's really neat. There's no there you go. There's no kind of broken bits. There is at this end, I think. There is a tiny bit of fraying, but that's only because I don't know, it's probably rubbed slightly. But that isn't anything problematic at the moment. I'll obviously update this video if that does end up becoming a problem, but as of yet it seems to be perfectly fine. But this cable really has been quite good. Now it advertises that it actually has a higher capacity, like through the wire. Obviously if you've got a really thin wire you can't have that much kind of power going through it, but with a really thick cable you can put huge amounts of power through it, a bit like a pipe. If you've got a bigger pipe you can obviously have more power or water or whatever flowing through that pipe. So I've just raveled it back up. Now there aren't really many things to talk about with this cable. The only one thing that a lot of people think is, what's the point? Now, there isn't really much of a point. However, I kind of feel that little things like cables are often overlooked as being kind of a stupid and pointless thing. And I know this is a silly video doing a review of a cable because I can't really show you much. But other than visually, it looks quite nice. It's got this kind of yellowy blue colour. You can buy it in several other variants. You can get a black and blue. So the yellow is replaced by the blue and the blue is replaced by the black colour. And that is also quite nice looking, but I thought this would be quite nice because it would stand out a little bit from everything else. And because of that, I'd be like, that's my cable, my charger cable. You'd be able to spot it on a desk much easier than having a big selection of different black cables like that. You're going to be, oh, it's one of the black one, and you can't really identify it very well from that. But that's it really. The only other thing I can show you is plugging it into things, just because a couple of people on the Amazon reviews complained a little bit that it was a little bit too tight. But I'll just have a quick demonstration. So just the normal USB end just slots slightly firmly into this charger, and don't be deceived by it sticking out. Every cable will stick out. If I get the other two cables I have here and put one in, that also sticks out, and the Nexus 5 charger also sticks out. Now, actually, just from looking at that, you can see it's actually slightly shorter and thinner than some of the other cables. It looks about the same thickness, and also it has gold plated, or not, I don't know if it's gold plated, it's just a gold coloured tip compared with the silver on this. It'll be very difficult to see. You can kind of tell from that. So it's kind of a nice material. But the reason I bought this, as I said, was just because I kind of felt like replacing a couple of mine and just buying something that might be quite interesting and might be rubbish. It might be really good. But actually it turned out to be quite impressive really. I'm quite pleased with this. So I'm just making this little kind of review just so you can know that it exists. And I'll also probably post this on my Amazon account just so people can see it when they are thinking about buying this product. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you've got any questions about this cable or any of the things I've shown you, please drop me a comment. If you liked the video, remember to like it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. And if you got any feedback or anything, as I said, make sure you leave me any comments below. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.